If you've ever maybe found a moment of calm just focusing on your breath, or felt a stretch that somehow deepened your awareness, or maybe you've just noticed how much talk there is globally about well-being, chances are you've bumped into yoga. It seems like it's everywhere these days, doesn't it? A truly universal practice. But have you ever stopped to think about how far back its story actually goes? Today, we're going to do a deep dive into yoga. We'll trace its ancient roots, which are firmly within Hindu civilization, and then explore its really profound, honestly undeniable global impact. Our mission here is to try and move past, the Instagram poses, the gym classes, and really understand the philosophy underneath it all, the science, the spiritual journey that's been woven into yoga for, well, millennia. We've got a fascinating stack of sources that I think really illuminate yoga's foundational place in Indian culture and its, frankly, remarkable journey across the world. Okay, so let's try and unpack this. For a lot of us, maybe yoga first registers as just, physical exercise, a way to get more flexible, build some strength, maybe just de-stress after a long week. But for those of you who've gone a bit deeper, you already know there's so much more to it. What is yoga, really, at its core, beyond just the physical movements?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. Beyond the physical, that's crucial. As many people familiar with it know, the Sanskrit word yoga, well, it literally means union. And that's really the goal, the aspiration. Harmonizing your individual self, your consciousness, with the universal consciousness. It's so much more than just a sequence of postures. Our sources, they consistently frame it as a very sophisticated philosophy, a science of life, really, and a complete system designed for holistic well-being. It manages to elegantly bridge the material and the spiritual sides of existence, and its origins are firmly within the Indian subcontinent. It's become a defining hallmark of India's, well, spiritual and intellectual legacy.
Right, that idea of union, it really does lift it beyond just exercise, doesn't it? It points to something much, much bigger. And this depth, this complexity, it didn't just sort of pop up overnight, did it? Our sources point to these incredibly rich spiritual, philosophical traditions that shaped yoga over, thousands of years.
Oh, absolutely not overnight. Yoga didn't just go into existence fully formed. It evolved, organically within the huge spiritual and philosophical landscape of ancient India. You can find its earliest principles talked about in foundational Hindu texts, like the Vedas and the Upanishads. And these aren't just religious scriptures in a narrow sense. They're profound philosophical treatises. They explore things like meditation, self-discipline, ethical ways of living, the pursuit of higher knowledge, deep stuff. The insights from these texts, they inform practices that were meticulously developed, not just for physical strength or vitality, but also for cultivating real mental clarity and spiritual insight.
Okay, so these early texts sort of laid the groundwork, the foundation, but then as I understand it, there was a specific text that really formalized things, almost like an instruction manual for this whole system. Tell us about that.
Exactly. That rich, evolving tradition was eventually distilled and formalized in a text called Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. This is a seminal text. It organized all these principles into what many people now know as the Eightfold Path, or Ashtanga Yoga. But the real insight here, I think, is that Patanjali didn't just list physical stretches. That wasn't the main point. He laid out a complete operating manual, you could almost say, for human flourishing. He understood that true physical mastery, the asanas that everyone sees today, well, that's built on a really profound ethical and mental foundation. And that foundation, it starts with ethical conduct. These are the yamas, principles like nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're actual practices for how to live harmoniously in the world. Then after that, you have the niyamas. These are more about personal discipline, self-care, things like purity, contentment, self-study, devotion. It's really only after establishing this kind of inner and outer ethical groundwork that you move towards the more visible aspects, which are the asanas, the physical postures, and then pranayama, which is the sophisticated science of breath control. And all of this, it prepares the body and the mind for the deeper stages of meditation, which ultimately can culminate in samadhi, this state of profound spiritual absorption, where the individual self sort of merges with universal consciousness. It's often described as like a complete stopping of the mental chatter, ultimate bliss.
Wow. It really sounds like a holistic step-by-step journey, not just, a random collection of techniques someone threw together. It's genuinely a systematic approach to self-realization.
That's precisely it. That's the perfect way to put it. This structured framework, it offers a clear, progressive path. And the core teaching, the absolute essence, is that true health, true wisdom, they arise from a deep harmony, that actual union, again, between the body, the mind, and the spirit. It's a holistic wisdom tradition that recognizes how interconnected all these aspects are long, long before modern science started to catch up, really.
Right, and this systematic, holistic approach we're seeing in yoga, it's clearly a monumental achievement in itself, but our sources indicate it's actually one of many achievements from that civilization. What's so compelling is how yoga seems to exemplify a much wider tradition, like a consistent way of thinking about the world, about human potential that just permeated Hindu civilization.
Yes, that's a crucial connection to make, absolutely. Yoga, with its focus on interdiscipline, ethical living, holistic well-being. It's a perfect lens, a lens to view the broader contributions of Hindu civilization through. It really embodies a systematic approach to understanding and optimizing the human experience that you find mirrored in other groundbreaking fields from ancient India. Take mathematics, for example. Thinkers from that civilization revolutionized global understanding with the concept of zero, and the decimal system itself. These are foundational elements, right?
Yeah.
Modern science, technology, unimaginable without them.
Absolutely fundamental.
Exactly. Or look at medicine. You have Ayurveda. Much like yoga integrates mind and body, Ayurveda focuses on balancing your entire being, your specific body type, your diet, your lifestyle, aiming for overall health, not just, treating symptoms after they appear. It's that same deep commitment to inner harmony, comprehensive well-being, just manifesting in a different scientific field. And we see this legacy of innovation in other areas too. Sophisticated astronomy, amazing literature, art, architecture. So yoga isn't some isolated thing. It's really a living testament to a civilization that consistently valued ethical living, inner development, and that essential integration of mind and body.
It really is incredible when you frame it like that, and then to see how something so deeply rooted in ancient India hasn't just survived, but has spread across the entire globe. It's quite a journey from those ancient texts to like the yoga studio on basically every corner in major cities today. How did this ancient practice manage to transcend its origins and become such a massive worldwide phenomenon?
It is a remarkable story, isn't it? A story of cultural transcendence. Yoga has genuinely moved beyond its original geographical and cultural boundaries. It's influencing health, wellness, education, even spiritual practices in, nearly every corner of the world now. And what's really insightful, I think, is how adaptable it's proven to be. Modern adaptations are incredibly diverse. You've got the really physically dynamic styles like vinyasa, power yoga, often what you find in gyms. But then you also have the more introspective, meditative practices, things like Kundalini yoga, yin yoga, very different feel. But the critical point, the thing to remember, is that even as these styles evolve and adapt to modern life, they almost always retain the essential core of yoga's Indian philosophical roots. That idea of union, of mind-body connection.
And it's not just popular culture, right? Science is getting involved too.
Oh, absolutely. The world is definitely catching up to this ancient wisdom, but now with scientific rigor. Modern research is consistently confirming yoga's wide-ranging benefits. We're seeing study after study now demonstrating its positive impact. Things like physical flexibility, obviously, but also cardiovascular health, better mental focus, emotional resilience, and maybe most significantly in today's world, its proven ability to reduce stress. These aren't just, anecdotes anymore. They're measurable, scientifically validated benefits.
So it's delivering verifiable results, not just relying on tradition. And beyond the physical and mental benefits, there's still that deeper ethical layer we talked about.
Exactly. That's fundamental. Beyond these measurable benefits, yoga carries this profound legacy of ethical and spiritual guidance. It promotes timeless values that are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Think about ahimsa nonviolence. That's not just about, not physically hurting someone. It's about cultivating compassion, harmlessness in your thoughts, your words, your actions, towards everyone, everything. Or satya, which is truthfulness. And tapas, self-discipline. These aren't just concepts for when you're on the yoga mat. They're principles for living a more conscious and more integrated life day to day. So yoga's global popularity, it isn't just some passing trend. It really underscores India's historic role as this enduring source, a source of intellectual, spiritual, and practical innovations that continue even now to profoundly enrich human life everywhere.
This has been such an illuminating deep dive, really fascinating. We've seen how yoga, this shining example from Hindu civilization, was so deeply rooted in India, nurtured through centuries and centuries of philosophical and spiritual practice, and has now blossomed into this universal discipline that genuinely enriches lives all across the globe.
Indeed it has. And, for you listening right now, maybe consider this for a moment. How can these timeless principles ethical conduct, inner discipline, that mind-body integration we've discussed,
Mm-hmm.
also beautifully exemplified by yoga. How can they be applied in your own life? Not just, in a formal hour-long practice, but maybe in your daily interactions, in the decisions you make, in your overall pursuit of well-being. What small steps maybe could you take to foster a deeper sense of balance and harmony within yourself, and in turn, perhaps contribute, even in a small way, to a more harmonious world around you? It's really an invitation, I think, an invitation to introspection, maybe to action, that extends far beyond any yoga mat or studio.